What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Breaking news, man. Breaking news from The Guardian. And it is The Guardian, right? Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
That is that Eric Ten Hag will depart from Manchester United. Manchester United have decided to sack Eric Ten Hag after the cup final. It's breaking news in the last sort of half an hour or so. It's just a whirlwind. There's so much opinion online. We need to talk about the piece that said it, who said it, what exactly they said. I'm not going to waste any time. Smash a like on the video, guys. Get involved in the channel. Get involved in the comments. Get everything in. Let's talk about this. Owen, I'm not going to waste any time in the intro. Who said this? Where's it coming from? What have they said?
Yes, and once that happens, Flex, I lied. You do need to zoom in a little bit.
So.
But let's talk. Yes, it comes from Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian, who is being pretty absolute and matter-of-fact about this. It must be said, there's leaving no room for interpretation at all, because he is saying Manchester United have decided to sack Eric Ten Hag after the FA Cup final against Manchester City. Ten Hag, who joined the club 2 years ago, is set to depart after enduring a fraught campaign. United finished 8th in the Premier League, their lowest league finish since 1990, and their hopes of qualifying for Europe rest on them beating Manchester City at Wembley on Saturday. Now, these are kind of the key parts of what is actually a very short article from Jacob Steinberg, which I think he said he will update. So if those updates come whilst we're live, of course, we'll let you know. But he says, a well-placed source said that even winning the cup would not save Ten Hag. The decision to change manager will be the most significant move made by Sir Jim Ratcliffe and his allies since Ineos took a minority stake and control of football operations. United have identified Thomas Tuchel, Mauricio Pochettino, Kieran McKenna, Graham Potter, and Thomas Frank as possible replacements. Ten Hag won the Carabao Cup and finished third last season, but he has been unable to build on his early work, and many of his signings have not worked out. United declined to comment after being approached by The Guardian. So once again, the key thing is that the suggestion is that the decision has already been made. Doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. Even winning the FA Cup will not save Eric Ten Hag. Certainly big stuff, that Flex. Big concrete stuff. It's a development over what it's been the last 24 hours, because even as early today, I saw a piece from The Athletic saying, no, there's going to be an end of season review. There's going to be a performance review. That's going to be happening. And seemingly something I don't know if has changed or Ineos have shown their hands a little bit more, but it is frankly quite stunning that on the eve of the FA Cup final, it's coming out that the decision's already been made and Eric Ten Hag will be gone.
There's a couple of things here to unpick now, because this is quite big. So the first one for me is we have to remember at this stage, well, it's kind of two because DiMarzio did it as well. But here in this country, from the credibility that we would be looking for from a start, it's one major guy that's basically come to the forefront and said this now. I think the next few hours and the rest of today is going to be very interesting to see who else does some due diligence, does some digging, and like you say, has the confidence to sort of go with something they've heard. And who else attaches their name to this? The big uns. Romano, Ornstein, someone like Luckhurst, Jamie Jackson, who's also part of The Guardian there anyway. Just in general, who comes to the party with this? That's the first thing. The second thing, 100%, is the timing. It's hard, right? Because we can criticize this timing, and I think we're right to, because how much you feel for Eric Ten Hag? You're trying to prepare the team to see if we can win this cup tomorrow. It's the worst type of news that you want before. But the club aren't officially saying this. Like, this is journalists who don't have an affiliation to Man United. They don't give a shit about our plans for the FA Cup final or our preparation. They care about exclusives. They're not going to go, well, United and their fans are, all their focus is on, the cup final. So as soon as they get a scoop, they're going to say it. Now, the club are declining to comment. Now, I find this is not the club coming out and saying, we have decided, this is not club statement, corner flag settings. It's not that. This is the rumors intensifying from really credible people. So you can say the cat's got out of the bag, but I don't think it's been the intention for Ineos / the club for this to actually happen. Now, that begs the question, how has it happened? Just like all the time, it's too big. It always happens when a manager's about to get sacked, all the time. Unless it's like, when Ollie got sacked, it was like, because we literally just got licked 4-1. Like, it did. There was no other place to turn. But this has been building. It was the same with Jose. Obviously with Van Gaal. well, this is worse. You know, it really is questionable as the timing, and the timing couldn't be worse. You know, the players now will be seeing this, and you know, also we have to. I'm still uncomfortable. He hasn't gone yet, and there's no official word. Like this is significant, but we still don't have the. It's not going to be a here we go for him to go, but we still don't have the Ornstein, the Romano. We still don't have a club statement, and there's a game tomorrow. I'm not going to lie. I feel really uneasy right now. I don't even like doing this.
Of course, massively uneasy.
It doesn't feel right.
I think it must be stressed. I mean, you mentioned it last night when after the news came out about the Kieran McKenna talks, which we said at the time, I went, that's significant. When I mean, because there's been all of this chatter, hasn't there, about United are doing due diligence, but nothing about holding talks, nothing about meeting representatives. So last night's developments regarding McKenna and meeting his representatives, Wilcox and Barada allegedly meeting his representatives, who went, well, that's significant. And where does that come from? Sky Sports. Went, that's come from Sky Sports. Well, that is pretty significant. And now the noise has become louder. Now the noise has become even more louder. And at the time last night as well, you mentioned it after doing some digging, sort of the noises or the information that we were hearing is those reports are pretty accurate, actually. And it's not just McKenna, it's other people. And as we mentioned this morning, you then start to think a bit logically, don't you? And go, well, why would they be talking then to other people? Why would they be talking to other people if they really could back this guy? Why would that be the case? You know, what if they've got total faith in Erik ten Hag? Why are you having talks? Not doing due diligence of going, oh, when's his contract up? Or what's his release clause? Why are you having legitimate talks with the representatives? That implies that something is happening, something is going on. And it does feel like there has been a shift in the last, 3 or 4 days of going from just a bit of noise, just a bit of due diligence to they're talking to people now. And like you, my biggest frustration with all of this is, we mentioned it on the morning show, we've mentioned it when we talked about it last night, is the FA Cup. It's the FA Cup final tomorrow. One of the biggest games of the season, obviously our biggest game of the season, but in the football calendar, the British football calendar, FA Cup final is the biggest game of the season, one of them. And it's overshadowed, and already the result feels somewhat redundant when it comes to the future of Manchester United. That's mad. Like that's crazy. And I think people that had hoped for change
redundant in terms of who the manager's going to be, because if we win the FA Cup in our history, there's still it's still amazing to win it, but it doesn't mean Erik ten Hag's going to stay.
Well, and also again, you look at some of the players going into that game; they'll be looking at it going, wow, what does this even mean? Yeah, I'll get a medal, get a trophy. That's cool. But in terms of the future, you know,
the problem is, Owen, as well. So to cut you there, the problem is that we don't really have a crop of players that you could say, oh, well, they'll want to send him out on a high. Everyone will do everything they can to really, do you know what I mean? Bite down on the gum shield and give Erik a send. It's not gonna. There's a few in there that won't do that. Do you know what I mean? It's quite a lot that won't do that. And also, Erik's team selection now, like you said, what we've been discussing sort of off camera, like his team selection now, all this is going on, might look different. Things might change with it could be something we've not even seen, because it's like he knows he's going, so he'll just go with people that he likes or people that he thinks will run. Oh, yeah.
I was doing something. That's why I was nodding. But yes, no, it's true. It's true. I wouldn't be shocked if that team selection tomorrow now does look a bit different, because now you get into the territory of F these guys, people that I was picking and I didn't really like or whatever. If it is going to be my last hurrah, screw them. I need people that are going to run for me. I want to go out on a high. I want to go up with a middle finger to the people that are letting me go and showing that you got it wrong. And I'm going to prove that by picking players that still believe in me, that still trust me, and I can still trust them too. So yeah, it certainly is. Look, I know at the moment, like you said, it's this weird, horrible situation because it's not confirmed. It's paper talk, and there's an argument to be made. Well, I don't believe it until it comes from Ornstein, or I don't believe it until it's from Romano. So I get that. I do get that. But as I said earlier on, just the noises are becoming so loud, and the different people doing it is becoming so overwhelming. And you can say what you want about, Jacob Steinberg or The Guardian, but Guardian's a major publication. For them to come out and say, it doesn't matter what happens tomorrow, Erik ten Hag is going to get sacked. When you're running that by your editor, I mean, you would hope an editor would go, what's your information like on that? That's pretty big to go with. Like, where are you getting that from? That is incredibly significant.
It is super significant. I will say Rich Fay, I think, didn't he used to be at Manchester Evening News before he left there?
Yes, he used to be, yes, yeah.
Yeah, he was there. So he's now down as a Manchester United reporter for the National World. But again, has ties at the club. Says United insists, Isha said this 30 minutes ago in response to all of this. United insists no decision made on Erik ten Hag yet, and full season review will take place after the FA Cup final. He also says it's hard to completely ignore all of the noise, though, and personally think Ineos have seen enough already to make decision either way, regardless of the result. So that's his personal opinion.
Well, that's what The Athletic said this morning. Again, The Athletic, it was Dan Sheldon from The Athletic, and it was really the first time The Athletic had touched on all of this McKenna stuff in the last 24 hours. And he said that there was going to be this end-of-season review. United insist they haven't made a decision yet. They're going to review it after the FA Cup final, and no decision has been made. But even that, like that language, look at the language that's being used there. Yeah. You're going, if you ask someone, you're going to keep Erik ten Hag, is he going to be the manager next season? Well, no decision's been made yet. And your first reaction would be, well, you could have just said yes.
Well, why?
Yeah, exactly. You could have just said yes. The fact that you go, well, no decision's been made yet, seems pretty cool. It's a pretty political answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
There's loads of people getting involved. Zach Benson, big up to you, the latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, Zach. Nathan Joseph, who has been a member for 16 months, says, though I agree Erik ten Hag should go, the way we handle our business is embarrassing. Wish him the best and hope we start moving more professionally as a club. Shane Star 94 says ten Hag should lose the final on purpose since he's already sacked. Ethan has been a member for 10 months, says 24 hours before a cup final, United are an absolute clown show. Ineos have changed absolutely nothing. It's leading to some big opinions here. We'll get into it. Jag 33 says bullshit timing from The Guardian just to be the first to report it. So even if it doesn't happen, it rocks us just before the biggest game of our season. Jag sort of pushing back against The Guardian, saying, no, you just want to destabilize Man United and help them lose the final. Brendan says unrealistic expectations will stifle any manager. This is to you guys watching here as well. We've got over 1,300 people watching already, so get involved. 255 likes on the video. Do like the video and make sure you subscribe. There's a lot of people saying that Ineos are moving wild. This is like what the Glazers would do. This is really disrespectful to Erik. They don't have a clue. There's a lot of people sort of going down that route. How do you guys feel at home? Do you think that Ineos have... Well, clearly there's a lot of support for Erik ten Hag in terms of him staying. So, A, do you think that if this is true, Ineos have made the right decision to sack Erik ten Hag? And secondly, how do you think they should have done this if they have decided to sack him? Do you still like what order of how would you have wanted this to look?
Well, this is almost worse than the Louis van Gaal situation. I mean, again, unless I'm misremembering it, I recall, obviously, there was speculation about Louis van Gaal's job, but it was only after, it was like literally the moment the final whistle went, or they just lifted the trophy, that it was like, he's going to be gone. Mourinho's going to be the manager. Boom, it happened that quickly. I don't recall 24 hours prior being like, yeah, Jose's going to, Van Gaal's definitely going to be going or anything like that. And I think
Jose's one was Liverpool, wasn't it? When we drew 0-0, 1-1, or did we lose? I can't remember. We lost.
What Jose?
No, we lost against. Yeah, we lost against Liverpool.
Oh yeah, we lost 3-1 at Anfield.
Oh yeah. I was there.
Like 9 at the back or something ridiculous. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it was crazy. But with so I think there's absolutely a criticism of Ineos that you can say, like, not necessarily of the fact that, this has got out because of Ineos or anything like that, because why would they want to shoot themselves in the foot like this, right? 24 hours for a cup final. But you can make criticism of, this is what happens when things are left ambiguous. When you leave things ambiguous, it comes to a flashpoint, it comes to a boiling point, and the journalists have been waiting. They have been waiting for weeks. They've been asking the questions, wanting to find out what's going on. And then yesterday was a flashpoint of they're holding talks with someone's representatives. And naturally, people then start going, well, if they're holding talks, there's something going on. There is, at the very least, a consideration of them deciding to go in a different direction and choose someone else. And then naturally, you're then forced that you've got to do something. What we got to do. And if you keep doing, like I said, keep using the language of, well, we haven't made a decision yet, that's a bit where it doesn't sound like any total backing. And I think that the way that they have handled that, or the silent approach, hasn't really worked out, has it? Let's face it. The sort of, we're not going to say anything approach, it's not worked out at the moment. We for the last 48 hours, we've been talking about the manager as opposed to the cup final. So, you know, and that's why for months, really, people have been saying, haven't they? Well, if you don't think Erik ten Hag's the right guy, do something. Don't let it turn into this. Do something. If you think he's the right guy, do something, you know, because when you lead into something like this, when you lead it ambiguous, you get boom. You get what you're getting right now.
Yeah, you get this this type of reaction. I will say, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted, but all he's done is repost something he said about last time about a Juventus goalkeeper called Michel De Gregorio. So it's no, and all in his comments. Fab, tell us about Ten Hag. Fab, say something. And again, these guys are not coming to the party yet, and they don't always break all the stories. To be fair, you know, Ineos, Ornstein, and Romano aren't always that. Many times they're not the first. Many times they're not the first. So, there is a footballing media landscape that exists bigger than those two. They're not the be all and end all.
And I'm sure, by the way, again, a bit like the article says of Jacob Steinberg, I'm sure if anyone goes to the club in an official capacity
they're saying no
and say, what about this story? They'll go, well, no, nothing's changed at the moment. We haven't made our decision yet. I'm sure.
Or just declined to comment. The Guardian just said we're not commenting on that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then the same line that we know to be true is the one that keeps coming out about, like you said, end of season review, or we'll decide afterwards. All of that stuff. Who else has spoken here? We've got Jag Brendan on it. OnlyFans KG. Oh my days! Look at that picture. Oh my god! Wow. Olawa Adeyemi, Kevin Babatunde, Abakar, Gary, rise. Yes, they want him to rise. And Basilo says, people mention Arteta / Alonso when they mention McKenna. Pirlo, Lampard, Gerrard, Gattuso all failed as young managers. United is a big, big animal. And that's it. There's no guarantees. I mean, that's just kicking it on to Kieran McKenna being one of the people to be linked with the job. Connor says I'm done with this club. Ineos ruined this club in the comment section. I mean, there's a lot of angst against Ineos. I'm sensing that there's a lot of you guys who don't even think Ten Hag should be sacked as the first point of call. Then there's a big chunk of you guys I can clearly see, without even doing a poll, I can see there's a big chunk of you guys that are like, this should have happened after the cup final. Or it's kind of weird in it, because or what Ineos could have done is basically made the decision a lot earlier, because there's nothing wrong with going into towards the end of the season knowing that Erik wasn't going to be there. Like, say we got to March or April maybe, and said, look, at the end of the season, Erik will part way, then it's like, people do that all the time. The manager's leaving at the end of the season. So let's make the next 3 months the best 3 months. Let's go for it all. And I know we'd been rubbish in the league, but, we were, when did we play Liverpool in that game? March.
Oh, God. Yeah, I think
must have been March,
isn't it? Yeah. Well, the 2-2.
And April was the Coventry. No, the FA Cup one.
Oh, the FA Cup one.
That was March, isn't it?
That was 17th of March.
And then Coventry was in April.
Man United versus Coventry was 21st of April.
21st of April. At some point, because our league had pretty much gone in around that time anyway. Maybe if they would have said it earlier, fans would have been like, okay, well, they've made their decision. We know that we're looking for a new manager. It stops all of this. I think what really will upset fans is the fact that, like we've tried. Look at this morning when that super chat come in from United saying, can you not talk about this? We've got a game tomorrow. And that's what's rubbing fans up the wrong way, because we're trying to focus on the game, think about how the players must be. And then there's all the speculation. And now what's going to happen? Of course, in the pre-match build-up, they're going to ask him.
Do you know what I think is?
Warming up, they're going to ask him.
Do I think it's possible with this? I think, going back to some of those things we said before about Ineos made their mind up a while ago, etc., etc., etc. I think maybe that might have been accurate. Maybe they did make their mind up a while ago. And what they didn't anticipate was getting to an FA Cup final. Because getting to an FA Cup final, like if we hadn't got to the FA Cup final and the season ended last weekend, finished 8th or whatever, then the thing, talks happened last week, blah, 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 would have come out and you'd gone, wow, can't say I'm totally shocked by that. But what they almost didn't anticipate was this sort of smidge of success at the end of the season. And whilst everyone else is doing their planning or whatever, United are like, oh, what are we going to do? Or Ineos are like, what are we going to do? And they've kind of been caught out, haven't they? They've been caught out. The manner of which this has been handled and the fact that 48 hours before the final, it gets reported that you're having talks with other people, and that's happened in the last week, and you've actually had talks with 4 representatives. And then 24 hours before the final, it comes out from one outlet that you've made a decision you're going to sack him, the manager, regardless. The handling of that, I mean, it's catastrophic. That's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, obviously, we're not in Manchester City circles, so you don't know. But at the same time, you're just hearing about Pep talking in a press conference, or, you're not hearing that much, are you? Where Man United, you're just hearing about chaos and all that kind of stuff. And I think, I think whether or not you feel this is the right call, if indeed it is accurate, if whether or not you think it's the right call to sack him or to keep him or whatever, I think unanimously everyone would say the way that this has been handled the last 2 days, or the information that has come out the last few days, is unacceptable. That cannot happen. Can't pretend that people don't talk in football. We can't pretend that talks aren't held all the time, because unfortunately, football's a bit of a sleazy business. It works like that. But the manner of which that, we've praised Ineos for keeping things pretty close to the vest, pretty secret. Well, this is the total opposite, isn't it, really, this? And it is embarrassing. And I think, Park, about how well you think Erik ten Hag has done or hasn't done this season, you can, I think, sympathise for him in the extent of he's going into an FA Cup final 48 hours before it's reported that, they're talking into replacements. And 24 hours before, it's like, oh, yeah, they've made their mind up. They're going to sack him anyway. Even though maybe the official line that he's been told is, we'll see what happens at the end of the season.
Yeah, it's
like, well, I'm hearing something else. This is madness. And that is not good enough. That is not good enough.
Yeah. Shane Starr says, I don't mind him being sacked. I just hate how they're going about it. Yeah, a lot of people do. Shane Starr. Peter says, blaming Ineos for the leaks, for leaks is crazy. Fans just want to blame them. Zach says Ineos are in a no-win position. If they want to change the manager, have to have someone or at least interviews lined up. But it would always leak if they did. Why did it leak today? Max visibility for media. That's what I mean. Right, here's the thing. Like, you're right, Owen, right? In terms of, like, this is unacceptable for this to come out 24 hours before the final, 48 hours before the final, etc., etc. But I'm looking at it from the business side of it, of how we've ended up in this situation. Unfortunately for Ineos, they've come into the club, right, at a difficult time. Like, in terms of, like, February got ratified, didn't they? And they had to do a lot to get to where they wanted to. Like Omar Barada and, Dan Ashworth, and was still working on Nick, Jason Wilcox, etc., changing around all of the things. Then they've got to get out Richard Arnold, John Murto, all the old guard, etc., right? But they found themselves in a position whereby, whilst they were doing all of this, they did need to look at, who do you want the manager to be here? This season's going from bad to worse.
This is what I'm saying. I'm saying they thought they'd get to an FA Cup final. This has gone against their timeline.
It's probably gone against their timeline. And then as they've taken the route of, right, we can't really say anything. Let's just let the team focus on trying to get to the cup final and this, that, and the other. But I guarantee you guys, if they sacked Erik ten Hag straight after the final, right? Like people are saying they should do, or, at least afterwards. And but we haven't, like, sounded anyone out, haven't spoken to anyone, haven't got anyone lined up. And week after week after week after week, we're watching our preparations for pre-season just literally go down the pan. We're watching our transfer business go down the pan because we don't even have a manager. Everyone would lose their shit. Why would you sack him when you don't have a plan? This is the same as before. Where's the plan? What are we doing? And they're in a position whereby if they decided even a while ago, which let's be real, now it's all hitting me. I think they've decided this a while ago. Like we said, we can't just be one game. It can't. That's even worse. If you decide a win or a lose is one game to decide a manager's fate, like flicking a coin, Harvey Two-Face, then it's 50. You're ridiculous. You can't plan like that, right? So they would have decided a while ago. So they had to start sounding people out. Now, that's the bit where leaks have always existed. If you start asking around for who's available and what's going on for the managerial position, I'm sorry, it's always going to get out. It always has done. It always has. Post Sir Alex, we were lucky enough to have Sir Alex for so long, but as soon as we didn't, that was it. It's out the bag, mate. It's the biggest club in the world by name. One of. It's funny how we go down the tiers now, isn't it, when we say that? But you get my gist. It's Man United PLC. So I'm not going to say I don't sympathize with Ineos, but I am sort of like, well, what way round should they really have done this? Because if they don't talk to anyone, if they believe they don't want to have this manager anymore and leave it everything until after, you take too long, you miss out on targets, and everyone starts cussing, saying, what are you lot doing?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't necessarily have a problem with it if they don't think Erik ten Hag's the right guy and they've got to do the work on getting their replacement. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. Like we were saying, it's the manner of which this has transpired. And that's when I go back to, I don't think they anticipated getting to an FA Cup final. I think they thought the season's gone down the shitter. That once it ends, then the stuff will come out, then we'll focus on the manager, then we'll do that. And it's this almost extra week. And, the grandeur of playing in a final is like gone against their plans to an extent. And also, look, as well, I mean, you don't know where the information is coming from. We know that it's coming, the outlet that it's coming from. Who's to say, hypothetically, it doesn't come from people close to Ten Hag because he's got wind of, I'm out of here. It doesn't matter what I do tomorrow. I believe that even if I won the FA Cup, I'm not saved. We don't know where the information is coming from. I think the crux of it will be, if Ineos could reflect on this, if indeed it does go down the way that all of the journalists are saying, or at least some of them are saying now, would be that what has hurt this and what has fostered this has been the ambiguity. Nobody knowing, we've praised Ineos for keeping things close, but this ambiguity has led to division of people going at each other. It's led to confusion and guesswork. It's led to, again, nobody knowing what's going on, to the point that we're so desperate for information that when a little bit comes out, bang, go with it. And that's a problem. And then on top of that as well, I really do think last night was a big flashpoint because maybe some of those journalists didn't know what was going on. And then last night, once you hear that they're talking to other people, you then go back to some of your sources and go, would you be having talks if you're, going to be sticking around? And they go, well,
100%.
Kind of looks like the FA Cup final doesn't matter then, does it? Like that's the problem. So, I'm not necessarily like, Ineos have leaked it out, because I don't see why they would do that, because they would shoot themselves in the foot. But clearly, I think the way that they've handled it, the ambiguity and the sort of nobody knowing at all what's going on, hasn't helped things. Clearly, it has not helped things.
It hasn't. There's more reaction here in the comment section and the chat from Kimmich. Kimmich says a lot of Erik ten Hag inners need to admit he 100% deserves the sack just for unfortunate timing. Maybe Ineos were scared other clubs would take their future manager. And Jan says, how can you expect the team to perform tomorrow? Ineos silence is deafening. They're cowards doing everything in the dark. At least clarify things for fans. And it's that clarification, is it? It's that bit about the silence is deafening. The fact that the line is no decision has been made yet. You're telling everyone there is a decision to be made. If there was no decision to be made, you'd back the manager and get on with it. Or say you're going to part ways and get on with it.
They maybe thought they're going to move like this, which again is fine, but they thought they were capable of keeping it under wraps until after the FA Cup final. If that was their objective, to keep it under wraps until the FA Cup final, they have failed in that objective.
Oh, massively.
Because they haven't. And I am sure right now that there'll be people within Manchester United, within that select few people that allegedly know what's going to happen. Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Dave Brailsford, Jim Ratcliffe, they're going to be onto their contacts right now going, who's talking? Who's talking? Or they're going to be going to the representatives of the people that they have spoken to going, is this how you're going to play? You're going to start telling the media stuff? Is that what you're going to do? They've been looking at people within Ten Hag's agency going, who's putting stuff out there? What are you doing? Because again, you don't know where the information is coming from. As a fan, you assume it must be, Ineos that are leaking it out, but it might not be. But there's some, this is embarrassing. I mean, you can't dress it up the day before an FA Cup final at Wembley, not just against anyone, by the way, against Manchester City at Wembley.
It already it's put such a damper. It already feels like, and I know you can say the players, they're the one on the pitch, this, that, and the other, but it doesn't feel like, again, we've got a crop of players that would hear all this and then up the ante. It doesn't feel like we don't have that. It just makes you feel really somber now, really quite low before the final. Phil Lopez says, before the final, ? I'm Blue Abadi. I haven't seen you for a while. We've never been a member for 21 months. Big up to you. Says 21. Can you do something for me? Can you hit a little rich rap for me? Big 21 months. Shameless Club. Always a new low every summer window. Matt says a leak of this nature under the watch of Ineos is very Glazer-esque. Just saying. Shane Starr says they should have done what Bayern and Thomas did, so we knew from early. And that's what we're saying. It's like, if we would have known from early that this was happening, I think it clearly was going to rile up some fans. Listen, there are a lot of fans who don't believe Eric Ten Hag should be sacked. Fact. Like, there's a lot of fans that, regardless of this timing, they're saying, no, this is the wrong decision. Don't do this. In fact, this is one of the worst things we're going to do. Do not sack this manager. Stick with him. He's had injuries. He's had mitigating circumstances off the field. Yes, he's been a bit stubborn, but this was a season from hell. He had a good season last year, season before last. Now this season's actually finished. But he had a good first season. Give him the third season. You guys are going to change everything. Let him be a part of that change. Let him see if he can do it. But then there's other fans who are like, seen enough, mate. Seen enough. The tactics have been awful. We've regressed so much. Loads of other teams have had injuries. Newcastle have had injuries. Spurs have had injuries. Chelsea have had injuries. Liverpool have had injuries. Everyone's had injuries. Brighton have had injuries. But they haven't looked as bad as us. So what's our excuse? There's people who think that. But either way, if they would have come out quite early and said, we're parting ways with Eric Ten Hag, at least then the stability going into the final would have been there. Even if it would have been for worse, like because they knew he was going. It would have been for worse. And yeah, it's I don't know. It's really sad. It's actually, there's some people who won't care about this. Some people will be happy. Thank God, took too long. Finally, he's leaving. But I think it is sad in terms of the timing, and we're trying to get into this FA Cup. But yeah, again, I still look at it from the decision maker's point of view and be like, how would I have liked them to play this? Because also, one last thing is that, before I hand it back to you, is that, well, we can't rule out that they didn't think that he'd be able to turn it around within this section. Like, from like March, April, like, hey, I tell you what, he can go on a good run, he can start getting players back. But it didn't really transpire like that, did it? We've got licks off Burnley, essentially. That we got licks off Palace. We lost against Arsenal, still a loss. And then the last two games, all right, cool. Teams are on the beach or whatever, but we did all right to win those two games. But maybe they didn't see enough of a change in that time as well. Can't rule that out.
This was my worry when I said, I think back in January or whenever it was, February, something like that, that I thought he wouldn't be. And I've gone back and forth on this prediction quite a bit because the information keeps changing. But prediction was that he wouldn't be in the dugout first game of next season. My worry was that he would become a bit of a lame duck manager in the sense of, a bit like, to an extent, Louis van Gaal, but kind of went to, the FA Cup game. But I equated to like, Rafa Benitez when he was at Chelsea, Antonio Conte towards the end there at Chelsea too, and before Maurizio Sarri came in. Those managers where they've not been sacked, they're still in the job. The club doesn't say anything, but everyone knows, like, almost seemingly everyone knows what's going to happen, but it's just not said out loud. It's like a badly kept secret. And I worried that would be the case. And if it does play out like the reports are suggesting, then we're going to go into tomorrow's game knowing what the future is, even though everyone's kind of lying to each other's face, going, well, nothing's actually been done yet. and you sort of go, and once again, it's ambiguity. I mean, just a bit of an update. Fabrizio Romano has commented not on social media, but on his YouTube channel.
I think that's definitely true, because it's not them just saying that he said that a couple of days ago. Like, has he gone on his YouTube channel now then?
Well, let's have a look.
Yeah, you put up what he said. So yeah,
let's have a look if he's put up a new video on his YouTube page. Well, there you go. He has put up one in 30 minutes about obviously Xavi being fired from Barcelona today. Hansi Flick looks like he's going to be coming in. So in a video that's gone up in the last 30 minutes, Romano has said there is a concrete possibility that Manchester United and Erik ten Hag part ways after the FA Cup final. United have started contacts with agents of managers to potentially replace Ten Hag. So again, it's nothing breaking by Romano.
But he's saying it's concrete. He's just backing up what's out there.
He's just saying there what we have all said over the last 24 hours, which is, well, if they're talking to other people, there is a high chance that they're going to go in a different direction. If that's what he's saying, so that he's at risk, if you will. Well, he flexes muted or something like that as well. So he's listening. This is Flex listening face or whatever. Whilst he does that, let me check these super chats here if we're all caught up. Where were we at? Wajid says, change the structure and people's flexible working, but the leaks in the structure just go hand in hand with the makeshift Old Trafford leaks and river. Peter says they couldn't do it like Bayern. No one was in to make the decision. They wanted to wait until after the final, so this scenario doesn't happen. But like Owen said, they failed. The leaks were too strong. I do think that's the case. I think their intention was to, we're not going to say anything until after the final. We're going to keep it close. Nothing's going to happen until after the final. And then stuff leaked out, and they failed if that was their objective. Zotang TV says, when he said we cannot play Ajax ball, it was over. Jesse Jacobs says, do you think the manager market opening the way up, it had any effect on the decision? Maybe not so much on the decision, but maybe to expedite certain talks of certain people, perhaps, because suddenly in the space of a couple of weeks, now Barca looking for a manager, although it's probably going to be Hansi Flick. Chelsea looking for a manager. Bayern looking for a manager. Maybe once again that did play into their sort of thinking of going, actually, we wouldn't be the only club.
Active.
We wouldn't be the only club if that was the case. Maybe that played a part too. There's a couple more. Crash Illustration's been a member for a month. Says, my thing is that I thought they would wait until everyone was in position to make until they made a decision. A bit sloppy, just like the Ashworth situation. Well, seemingly. I mean, if anything's to go by, it doesn't matter if they're officially in position. They're doing it anyway. Well, like Omar Barada, who's been allegedly caught twice now already working, even though he's on garden leave. Who knows what Dan Ashworth is doing or is supposed not to be doing at the moment. Owen says, Ratcliffe by name, Rat by nature. Hakeem says, both of those managers won the FA Cup, Conte, LVG. Caramore says, players get away with another scalp in the bag. And BJ says, doesn't matter how we do it, but if we win tomorrow, then it'll be a fitting farewell. What is it with Dutch managers and the FA Cup finals at United?
Yeah, imagine. Yeah, actually, that's true. I just watched Flex is quiet and isn't saying anything about this situation, says Joshua. No, you just caught me while I was trying to listen to. I just wanted to make sure we're factually right, because you know what it's like. Aggregator accounts sometimes can just put things out to just, jump on it right now. I want to check things. I want to make sure that we're accurate when we're saying who said what. But I did listen to what he said in that video in the last half an hour, and he did say that. He does also say, though, they're sounding people out in case they should sack him after the FA Cup final. Like, still no decision yet, but they are talking to agents. They are talking to potential suitors in case they decide to sack him. So Romano hasn't done a video backing up what the Guardian says, which is they have actually decided to sack him. He hasn't said that. He hasn't. He had his opportunity to come to the party and say that. He didn't say it. Because
there could be a chance that thing was filmed before really that article came out and got traction as well.
Yeah.
And once again, these people that people look for the confirmation that things are legitimate. There's no way, a David Ornstein isn't on the phone right now finding out some stuff. There's no way that a Romano isn't trying to do the same. what is the case sometimes, if again, if they go to United, they'll get, no comment, or we haven't made a decision yet. Oh, we've got an end of season review. That's what we're doing. Sometimes with some journalists, unless they can, add more onto it, then they sometimes will go, well, until I can add something extra, then I won't put
say
anything out there. Then I won't put anything else out there. And again, how do you add more onto? It doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. Erik ten Hag's going to get sacked. And as you mentioned, Flex, Jacob Steinberg he's not Jamie Jackson in terms of Jamie Jackson's relationship with the club, because I think you laid it out really well last night that the people that follow Manchester United every single week, they're in the press conferences, they go on the tour with the club, they have a very close relationship, a very symbiotic relationship with them. They wouldn't do this kind of article for the blowback and the respect really for the club, because they would know that there would be repercussions because of that. Now, Jacob Steinberg I don't think is in any of the Manchester United press conferences or anything like that. He's kind of got no skin in the game, as it were, which is maybe why he's going to go with it. It would be really interesting to know what a Jamie Jackson would say, his Guardian colleague, of being like, are you hearing the same stuff? Or, that kind of thing. Because, those people that are much closer to the club, they can't really do that, and they wouldn't really do that, I don't think, 24 hours before our final. So even, again, the person that it's coming from and the manner of which it's coming from them is very interesting too.
There's a lot from like extra bits that I'm just trying to work out if they're saying this now. So people, the United District have gone with that Samuel Luckhurst from MEN, obviously, said Man United are still refusing to comment on Erik ten Hag's position amid reports he would be sacked after the FA Cup final. Man United sources have reiterated their focus is on Saturday's final against Man City, and they are not going to be distracted by speculation. United insists they will review the season after the City game and will not make a decision on Ten Hag before then. But when I'm going to Samuel Luckhurst just put up an interview with Kobbie Mainoo. He speaks really glowingly about him, actually, which is no surprise. But when you click on Samuel Luckhurst's Twitter page, he hasn't said this now, so he's not responding to like all of the different things. The last thing he posted was 14 minutes ago, and it was a piece he done with Kobbie. So and I've had a look in that piece, and it's not got anything about all this stuff. It's obviously rightly so all about Kobbie, which I want to read. Actually, looks really good. But yeah, I don't know where they're getting that from. I might actually ask them where did Luckhurst say? When did he say this? Or are we missing something here?
What was that about Luckhurst saying?
Well, United District said that 7 minutes ago that according to Luckhurst, United are still refusing to comment on Erik ten Hag's position amid reports. Has he?
Well, I saw I think there's an article here that was up in the last 20 minutes from Samuel Luckhurst saying Manchester United staying silent on Erik ten Hag's future despite expectation he will be sacked. It says Manchester United is still refusing to comment on Erik ten Hag's position amid reports he'll be sacked after the FA Cup final. United sources have reiterated their focus is on Saturday's final against City, and they are not going to be distracted by speculation. United insist they will review the season after the City game and will not make a decision on Ten Hag before then. External sources have expected Ten Hag to be sacked for weeks as United failed to secure qualification for the Champions League.
External sources.
On the 4 occasions United have not qualified for the competition, they have changed manager either during or at the end of the season. So, interestingly, he's basically saying then, maybe that gives a bit of an indication as to where Jacob Steinberg's getting his stuff from. Basically, so saying that that information isn't coming from within the club. It's coming externally.
Which is not going to come from inside.
No, it's not going to come from the club. And that's when you go back to the whole, I can't believe Ineos have not leaked this. Ineos have not handled it very well. They've not managed it very well. But that could easily come from a source of, let's say, Flex, one of these people that United have allegedly spoken to, an agent or representative of them going, look, I'm telling you, my client's going to be the next manager, or we're in talks that he's going to come next manager. And we've been told by Man United that they're going to make a change. They're going to replace him. It could easily be something like that. And they might trust their source because of it. I doubt that this information would probably be coming from within Man United or coming from within Ineos. It's probably, as I mentioned, it's probably coming from someone externally, which more likely would mean like, agents or people close to people that might be coming in.
Yeah, exactly. And just again, just in the aid, when you guys watch us day in, day out, listen, we have a laugh and we love it. The energy is always good. The vibe's always good. But when it does come to, when we're reporting stuff and reacting to stuff live, I always want to make sure that whatever's being said around and we talk about it, we have to see where it's from. You know that United District are always on the money. Dylan and the guys don't put up rubbish, but I just wanted to see where that was from. It wasn't from his Twitter. And as Owen just read, it's from a piece that was published at 2 minutes past 3 by Samuel Lucko. So he's written a piece. He hasn't put it on his Twitter and stuff like that. Which I'm surprised. Well, he obviously doesn't want it to overshadow his Kobe Mainu piece, really. So, but very, very interesting. So within the last half an hour, Samuel Luckhurst has basically, reached out to the club and said they are still staying silent. That is true. Who else? What have we got here in the chat? Matt says the biggest issue is the timing of the leak. Eric Ten Hag sacking is fine, but I'd expect them to handle the sensitivity of the matter better than the Glazers would have, not on the eve of the FA Cup final. MK United, been a member for 7 months, says big up everyone. The sacking was coming. However way you want to put it, the question is, who are Ineos going to get next? And Karen Moore says, so that's next season done then. New manager will require time and probably won't sell many players because he'll want to assess them for himself. This is getting very tiring. Cycle keeps repeating.
But with that, again, that whole thing about, the manager want to assess the players, that is when you would hope that this new structure, it's not about that. It's not about the manager of, I want these players to stay. Obviously, they'll have a part to play, but it's also a part of, that's why you've got a sporting director. That's why you've got a technical director. They make that call. I've assessed them. That's why Jason Wilcox has been doing the audit now. So irrespective of if Ten Hag's here, then Ten Hag can give his assessment. He'll know. If Ten Hag's not here, the technical director is still here, and he goes, we're getting rid of these people. They're not good enough. That's basically their role, isn't it? It's to bridge that gap between an executive level and, on the training field, what have you. So I would hope, because I get the concern with it. The concern of whenever you change manager is a bit like what Ten Hag said when he first came in, wasn't it? Of, I want to see everyone. I want to see how they are. Ralph Rangnick had, the option for, I've got some information, I need to see it there with my 2 eyes and all that kind of stuff. It would hopefully be Ineos's assessment. And if Ineos are saying, look, this is the thing. Some people's faith already will be shook in Ineos because they've always said best in class and all that kind of stuff. And to some people, Eric Ten Hag is one of the best in class managers, isn't it? And their faith will be shook. And if Kieran McKenna comes in or someone, they'll go best in class. And then if players stay, they'll be like best in class again. So whatever they do next, Ineos, my goodness me, the Manchester, I think you can't expect maybe results straight away, but you've got to get something, haven't you? You do, because people will be, the knives will be out, the eyes will be watching. Of my goodness me, of like, right, got to do something now. What are you going to do? Because
hounds are out, yeah,
absolutely.
The hounds are out. I'm staggered. I am. We felt this building though, didn't we? In terms of the amount of people they were talking to. You don't do that unless you want to make a change. The amount of rumors that were circulating. You just got the feeling, didn't you, that I don't think it was this morning show. I think it was maybe yesterday. When it was like, this doesn't just all go away and then it just carries on. Like there's too much.
Too
much.
That thing of like, you get into the territory. You get into the territory of like, okay, if you think he's the right guy, give him a new contract. They haven't given him the new contract. He's got a year left, and you're talking to other people. Like, you can try and maybe sort of bury your head in the sand a little bit and pretend it's not happening. Oh, it's not happening. It's not happening. This isn't happening. It's fine. But eventually you then have to pop your head back up and look at the reality of the situation and go, well, if they're talking to other people, and yeah, we can do the whole, the bullshit thing about, hypothetically next season. But if we're sitting across the table having that talk, throw the hypotheticals out the window. Like, it's happening, that kind of stuff. If me and you, if you're work for Manchester United Flex and you go, Owen, next season, if we made a change, what would you do at Manchester United as the Manchester United manager? I'd be like, am I in an interview for a job now? Because that's what it sounds like. Is that what we're talking about? And the fact that that's ongoing, the fact that there really hasn't been that whole, Eric's the right guy. You know, he's the one for us. He's going to be in charge next season. We have no interest in making any changes. Even if that, in the select interviews that Sir Jim has done, if he'd have said, yeah, we've just got really no interest in changing the manager for next season, there's a lot going on, then done.
All finished.
Not no new contract or anything like that. Just, we're not looking at that at the moment.
And the next thing would be when it gets to Christmas, you're going to give him a new deal yet? Or, but it gives you
but they didn't.
Through the summer. Yeah, they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And, do you remember when Sir Jim done that interview with BBC and they said anything about the manager's position? And he said, well, I don't think it's fair to talk about the manager. There's been a lot of failed things. And it was really interesting because when we did the show after that, I think we got a perspective from KG, Marcel, me. It might have been a full view that was after that. I can't remember. But I remember all of us being on show. And I took it as, see, they're saying there's been so many failed stuff here. It's not just the manager.
They spoke about the environment, didn't they?
Spoke about the environment. And I went, that's smart because that's true. But then, and the Marcel took it as that as well. I think, but was it KG or just the comments were saying, yeah, but no point did he say that actually Ten Hag is safe. And no point did he say like, yeah, he's our guy. We're looking forward to planning with him. He just said, I don't want to talk about the manager. What's more important to do is to talk about the environment. I think
he gives very, or so far again, and this is why, and this goes back to the, like I mentioned earlier on about ambiguity. Every answer he has given about that kind of stuff, it's been very ambiguous. Well, I don't really want to talk about that. Like Minna says in the chat, I think that's the point here. It's about what he's not saying, not what he is saying. Like it gives very carefully crafted answers that you listen to it and you go, that sounds good. And then you pause for a second, you go, well, he never actually said about backing Ten Hag. He never actually said anything about that. And so then you start to wonder and think to yourself, oh, wait a minute. You got asked about a question about it, but actually he didn't answer it at all. And as Minna said, sometimes it's about what you don't say as opposed to what you do. And he has had a couple of opportunities to say certain things, and he hasn't. And
he never does. He just don't say it.
I know
he's well away.
And I know sometimes when you dwell on that or you focus on that, then you get, the accusation of you're just being a bit of a conspiracy theorist here, or you're looking too much into it, or you're trying to stir up negativity or this, that, and the other. But eventually, like if it keeps happening time and time again over a longer period of time, you go, well, someone's got to say something at some point. And the fact that nothing's been said.
What he said was, in the last 11 years, Man United have had a lot of coaches and nobody has been very successful in that environment. That says to me, there is something wrong with the environment. It is not constructive for me to blame anyone. It's just a fact. My focus is on how I can change that environment to get the best out of the coach and squad. That's what he said. So when that happened, I was like, well, he could have battered Eric Ten Hag there. He didn't. He said, listen, I don't even want to talk about a coach. This environment is all wrong. I need to change this because all these coaches keep coming in and failing. In the last 11 years, Man United have had a lot of coaches and nobody has been very successful in that environment. So he's changing the environment. And since then, this was in February, he's done everything to change the environment, literally.
Well, and also as well, but again, and then that's a funny response because it's stuff we want to hear because that's true, isn't it? When you go, yeah, the environment's rubbish. That's why the coaches haven't succeeded. And you go, that's great. And then maybe like a couple of days later, you think, that's a great answer. Then you go, wait a minute. You never said anything about it. You never. Exactly. It's one of those ones. And again, he's a billionaire. That's what they do in business. He's a petrochemical billionaire. Gives answers that sound great. Absolutely, I'll invest in your company. Let's sign on the dotted line. Boom, 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 boom. And then you go back to your people and he goes, "What did he say?" Well, he said, "Well, I
don't really know.
I don't really know. What did he actually say?" And that's what. Again, that's ambiguous. That's why things have been so ambiguous and. It just after a while of that ambiguity, it leads to more questions over and over. And also the other part of it is, as we've said multiple times, one of the things that has been, and he's still in the job at the moment, Ten Hag, that's going against him is the people that hired him are no longer there. The people that were big advocates for Eric Ten Hag are no longer there. When you've got, John Murtough, my goodness me, a couple of appointments he had, shaky ground. He was a big advocate of getting Ralph Rangnick in. That didn't work out because fell out with the hierarchy goes. Well, I'm getting Eric Ten Hag, that's going to work out. He's my guy. He's not there anymore. Richard Arnold, he was one of the people that signed off on that. He's not there anymore. And when things aren't going well, like they haven't gone well this season, it's very difficult to give full backing to someone that you didn't hire. Because you'll go, well, if it was my guy, it would be a little bit different. You know, in a club this size or a business the size of Manchester United, you need advocates, you need supporters, you need people at executive level that are on your side. And whether you think they were good or not in John Murtough and Richard Arnold, he lost them. He lost people that, you know, were on his side, even people that were there previously as an interim. You know, Patrick Stewart, he's not there anymore.
He was just out looking after it.
Jean-Claude Blanc's now there. So that's when it gets into dangerous territory here. Things aren't going well. The people that hired me, they're not even here anymore. Stuff's changing. And that's what I mentioned earlier on this year about being a bit of a lame duck, a bit of a dead man walking, which it does feel like at the moment, because it's like, does everyone know something? You know, when you're in a room of people, you go, does everyone in this room know something that I don't know? And maybe that's what he might feel like when he's talking to Ineos, going, like, are they?
He's going to feel in the dark.
Yeah, exactly.
The big guy, I think, is a member. He says in the chat, "Congrats, y'all got what you wanted." Content creators pushed and pushed for it every day, bitching on here. Now you'll suffer the consequences of what comes next at this joke of a club. Let me just answer this. This is KG the comedian. See if he knows.
Yes.
Well, you carry on. Sorry.
Flechnology. Flex hadn't even answered the phone.
No, he put the phone down as I answered.
Oh, he's calling me. That's why he's calling me.
You're on mute.
Mr. the Comedian, you're live on United View.
I just got into my car and I'm seeing news that I can't believe. Are we right in saying that Ten Hag is in sacked?
Well, he's not been sacked. It's Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian is saying, as an exclusive, that irrespective of the result tomorrow, Erik ten Hag will be sacked as the Manchester United manager. Now, it must be stressed. Lots of other people are saying that no decision has been made. That's the official Manchester United line. There's going to be a performance review at the end of the season. But Jacob Steinberg from The Guardian is saying that irrespective of the result, Ten Hag will be relieved of his duties.
Remember, I don't know if the thing of the Trinity hasn't come out.
No, about that. It might not come out because it's completely redundant at this point.
What exactly? Well, we said someone gave me the heads up that is actually the case. Remember, it said someone that spoke to the top guy at Chelsea and said that guy's job's gone, guaranteed. So I'm shocked. Like, I've been hearing things as well. So I'm shocked, man. Like, I'm surprised that this club's managing doing it like this. I think it's a bit disgusting, personally. Like, you should at least let this guy's not had the best lead up to this. It's been a disgrace. The only thing they can do now is bring in the right character to replace him. It has to be the right one. If it's some crap, I'll be mad.
Ask him how he thinks they should have done it.
Flex says, how do you think they should have done it? If they had decided that they weren't going to stick with him, how do you think it should have been handled?
After the final, mate. After the final, like how they said no decision is going to be made until the end of the season. Like it's all said and done.
But that's what they're still saying. That's what they're still saying at the moment.
No, but they haven't, because look how they've operated in this thing.
So is the problem? So is your problem then that this has come out? Not necessarily that this is what they've done, but that
it's come out because you're not basically. I don't feel like you're giving us the best chance to win it. Like, this is a horrible lead up. Think about that. You've got to go. You're gonna have this competition, regardless of what happens. It's done. You should have just let the guys almost like play for his job in that game. Yes, it's one game, and he shouldn't make decisions like that. But I think it's been handled disgustingly. If they knew that they was going to get rid of him, they should have said nothing he does early before the season ended. They should have said it. Maybe after the Arsenal game, he will not continue as manager.
Yeah,
well, but now you're doing
what we were saying. That's what we were saying. We were saying that either they should have made the announcement at some point, prior, or if their objective was, because we can't pretend like talks don't happen, but if the objective was to for it not to leak out, they have failed in their objective.
Totally. I feel for him. I feel for him as a manager to go like this. And it's, again, because he should have got, it would have been good for him to almost be a candidate for the Bayern job. Now it's like that's gone because they're giving it to company. But
Well, he still might. You never know. They could
man.
just on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think we've been classy.
I think
we've been classy. I don't think we've been classy at all. I think we haven't learned from the LVG situation. I feel this is even worse than LVG walking up the stairs and realizing he's lost his job. Yeah, but they better just make the right decision. Now it's all on Ineos. They have nowhere to hide.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of saying. I was saying the next moves, people are watching, regardless of whatever those next moves will be.
Have you not discussed McKenna this more on the show, or not really?
Not really. I mean, at some point when we finish, you're going to probably have to talk to Flex about stuff for later on, for Trinity and all that kind of stuff. Because again, that show is completely down the pan at the moment. But yeah.
All right, wicked. All right, well, no problems. I'll see you later. I'm on my way home, so disgrace.
Yeah, disgrace. All right, speak to you in a bit. So a rare occasion where KG does know the news.
Well, he got in his car and saw it straight away.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because, again, that episode of the Trinity is, again, completely flat. But KG, what we can say
we can just take bits of it. We can.
Yeah. What we can say is that KG in that show, he is not on board with the idea of Kieran McKenna becoming the next Manchester United manager, to the extent that he would much rather have someone else controversially instead.
Who do you think that person was? Let's not poll, but can just type it in the comments.
Yeah.
KG said he doesn't want. Yeah, KG said he doesn't want Kieran McKenna, right? He said he would have somebody else he would rather have somebody else instead of him. Who do you think that person was? Go. Southgate, Steve Bruce, Tuchel, Jose, Poch, Ollie, Southgate.
Someone has
Thomas Tuchel, Mourinho, Pulis, Pochettino. So a lot saying Poch, a lot saying Mourinho. Tuchel, Southgate, Klopp, Poch, Ollie, Tuchel, De Zerbi, Potter. It's mainly Poch, isn't it? You guys think, yeah. So you guys think it's mainly Poch that he would prefer to have than Kieran McKenna? Well, a small percentage of you have got it right. He said on the show that's now never going to go out. We might still, I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see what happens, because he might come back and be like, let's do an abridged version, depending on the news
or maybe we can maybe cut some bits in, and we could maybe record a. We'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah,
but
challenging.
He said that he would rather have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back as manager than Kieran McKenna. Thoughts? Just thoughts to the floor.
Well, KG in the chat says doing the show again. KG's making an executive decision.
Well, we're still going to say what you said.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we can hear it from you later on then. KG says redo if KG's livid. He says redo the show, let's.
Yeah, he's angry. He's angry. But a lot of people are agreeing with him. Oh no, he's on crack.
He said I would rather. I mean, and again, I wish we had the clip of it, because basically he said it was going rather nicely, it was going fine, and he just went, I'd rather have Ollie back than McKenna. And I, as his advocate, so I had to kind of explain this during this fabled show, that he was saying it facetiously in the sense of him going, I don't want McKenna and I don't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He looks at them as two sides of the same coin, essentially.
Yeah.
Is what he's saying.
He said if he had to choose between McKenna and Ollie right now, put a gun to his head, he would choose Ollie.
But unanimously, we all said that if it had to choose between McKenna and Southgate, we all went, "Oh, get McKenna then."
Yeah, and then I said, "Well, but what I did say at the beginning, I was like, well, how do you know?" Oh no, McKenna and Southgate. Sorry, no.
Yeah.
I said that Southgate is a better manager than Ollie. I said there's parallels, is what I said. Don't know, there's parallels. Both come second. You know what I mean? Both make people smile. You know, there's a lot of So that's why I asked that question on Twitter earlier. But I was trying to wind KG up from the start, and Owen said he does this. This is what he does. He says it when he doesn't mean. I just wanted to.
Well, I'd written this because of what happened on that show earlier on.
It was a good show. I kind of want people to see that. Maybe we could put it on Raw or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
just
maybe we'll go and
the
fabled, the Lost show.
Yeah. We'll put it. Yeah, we'll put it the Lost show exactly. We'll put it up maybe as a members only exclusive. There you go. We'll put it as that. I told Jess to put that as a Raw.
With a little,
it's a shame that going to waste.
With a little thing that says this was filmed before this happened. You know what I mean? The Lost episode.
Yeah, exactly. The lost tapes. Harry says it's a bit too late to the party, but whether Eric Ten Hag in or out, this coming out the day before the final is disgraceful. Whoever leaked cheat. Jay Rose says horrible thing, but sadly, if anything, it should make the players give more tomorrow. New manager to impress and all that. Yeah, but you just don't trust them to do that, do you? Oh gosh, there's loads here. Hang on, let me go back up. Falcon Shuffle says, not going to lie, this makes it really hard to care about the final tomorrow. Still dealing with the leaks and another manager gone. Shake my head. Crash Illustration says, since next season is possibly a write-off, I'll suggest to us United fans to pick up new hobbies in the meantime. I recommend art or a book club. Book clubs are wicked, actually. I don't know the guys
Cage used to have one.
Yeah, 100%. Big ups to the Reckless delegation. And Vonnie's been a member for 2 months. Vonnie says, this only proves the leaks at United ain't just in the roof. Yeah. And Sabusiso says, leaking this the day before the final is the work of somebody who has serious gripe with the manager. And Truth Engraved, been a member for 23 months, says, Demarcio. 2 words. Demarcio.
But do you think that's a case of this is playing out like he thought it would? He took the
punt.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna say this is.
But then again, to be fair to him, if this was happening, we would always say he just took the punt instead of just giving his flowers. We're never gonna know, are we? Well, we still don't know what's gonna happen, but yeah, he technically was the first person to actually say it. But yeah, I think no matter which way it goes, we won't really fully give him his flowers. We'll never know. Patrick says, Sir Jim wants the glory of reviving United. The pre-existing manager succeeding wouldn't contribute to the narrative of him reviving the club. Simple. JPNT says he's been a member for 23 months as well. Thank you for your support. Says we've been talking about moving in silence. Since then, more leaks than the roof at Old Trafford. Back to square one. Josie, also been a member for 23 months, says Sir Jim Ratcliffe moving like Glazers. This is a terrible thing to happen days before an important game.
I mean, it does. It does make you. We were saying about going, wow, with the way that Ineos have moved for the Omar Barada thing and the Jason Wilcox thing, that was pretty cloak and dagger. That was pretty silent. That's exciting for the transfer window, isn't it? Now you'll be going into transfer window going, I don't think we're going to be acting, that silently in that transfer window as well. And it just, it does just, what does suck about it again is that I don't want to rehash the point over and over again, but it's the FA Cup final tomorrow. Like, that is such oldest cup competition in the world. It's such a big game. I know the sort of luster and the heritage of it's been lost a bit in the last few years, and replays are going next season and what have you. But it's still a massive game. To a football purist, it's still a massive game. And it's a massive game for, a Manchester derby. The first time that it's been a repeat of the final since the 1800s or something like that. And from our part, for it to be overshadowed, not by are Man United going to win, or Man United what are Man United going to do tomorrow? It's overshadowed by, is the guy on the touchline going to be in a job once the whistle blows? Is shit, isn't it? That's rubbish. And if Ineos had hoped that they were going to keep this under wraps, maybe again it's a reality check to them too. Stuff at Man United, you don't keep stuff under wraps. Yeah. If you think you can hold on to, you can have conversations with people and have talks with people, and people aren't going to find out, you got another thing coming when it comes to Manchester United. Maybe at other clubs because people don't care, but at Manchester United, if the journalists get a sniff, well, my goodness me, they are all over it.
Yeah, all over it like a rash, mate. And Josie read that one. She Loves United says Ineos showing more incompetence than the Glazers. Their indecisiveness has given the media the opportunity to release this before the final. Their indecisiveness, the fact that they didn't come out and say it, gave the media this opportunity. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. That's a good way of putting it. The fact that they couldn't make a decision earlier, it's allowed the press to have this, I suppose. So yeah, you're right there. I agree with that. And this does show how can you say, like a loss of control from their point of view. Like, it's got out of control now. The fire's brewing, the smoke's going everywhere, the thick black smoke's going across, and it's like we're struggling to put that fire out now. And just saying no decision made yet, do it after the cup final, that's not cutting it. It's not enough. It's not. It's fire extinguishers. We're looking for fire extinguishers. We're looking for getting the fire engines in. It's not enough. We need more help here.
Well, yeah. And never said it's not true.
That's true.
Imagine getting the story and going, it's not true. It's bullshit. And they haven't said that. They've just gone, "Oh, a decision hasn't been made yet." You'd be like, "That's weird. It's a weird answer to give, isn't it?" You know. Like I think Minna put it really astutely earlier on. Sometimes it's about what people don't say as opposed to what they do in that aspect. When you ask someone a question and their answer isn't yes or no, it's kind of, well, we just haven't really made our mind up on that one yet. You go, right. So that's that's a yes. Yeah, you go, right, okay, got it. I see where this one is going. And now it's only going to continue. I think what is really interesting is we've been live for just over an hour now. That report came out about 30 minutes before we went live, 20 minutes before we went live. Is that interestingly, a lot of journalists aren't really touching it that much and going like, they're probably either looking at it going, that's quite brave by Jacob Steinberg to do that, or they're asking around for their contacts to do and seeing if anything else can happen. And
what we are seeing, the Muppeteers have gone with this as well. MUFC, MPB have gone with it. There are people now sort of, Muppeteers sources are usually quite good. They're saying the news regarding Erik ten Hag being sacked after the FA Cup final has not come from Ineos, and they did not want this news to come out. MUFC, MPB also say Ineos have not leaked this news. Every United correspondent is saying that a decision will be made after the final. The news has come from a non-United journalist.
Well,
this is very reliable.
So this is really big. Jan Flortov is saying was always a gamble to think that this could be a secret until after the FA Cup final. I understand he was told the week before the Arsenal game. Well done to Jacob Steinberg to get it confirmed. So now Jan Flortov, based out of Germany, is saying not only has this decision been made for a while, but he knew for several weeks. He knew before the Arsenal game that this was going to be the case. And Ineos just did not want it to get out, and it has come out.
And that Eric's been part of concealing that. He's been in the presser saying, I'm looking at good conversations, looking for. Hold on a minute. Hang on.
Because just before you say that, Jan Florka, this is a quote tweet of that part. He actually said previously, to think that one game at Wembley is decisive for Ten Hag's future is a lack of respect and knowledge for how Ineos works. Stay or go decided weeks ago. Then he says, was always a gamble to think this could be kept a secret until after the FA Cup final. I understand he was told the week before the Arsenal game. Well done to Jacob Steinberg to get it confirmed. So Jan Flortov is saying that this was never about one game. This was never about the FA Cup final. The decision was made weeks ago. In fact, he knew weeks ago, which again is pretty significant.
That's exactly what we were saying, probably about halfway through the show or whatever. Like, hang on a minute. This hasn't just come down to one game and all of a sudden, just before the game, they've got squeaky bums and gone, actually, we've made our decision. They would have made a decision beforehand. And they should have made a decision beforehand, whether it was to stay or to go. Now, again, we said, when you ask Man United are saying either no comment or a decision hasn't been made yet. Now, that does go against basically what's happened here because a decision has been made. And this is where the gamble side of it is true. It's a big gamble to basically say you don't think that something that big is going to get out in that time. And you've briefed Erik ten Hag, and clearly Erik ten Hag, if this Fjortov piece is true, by the way, if it is, Ten Hag has been part of knowing that he's not going to be there, but has sort of briefed himself out of it, saying good conversations with Ineos, aligned, looking forward to the plans, etc., etc. Now, what's going to be really interesting from this is when he found out. Because if he's just finding out now, obviously it's discussed and it's going to be a shot. The tune changes if he knew all the time. Because we're saying we feel sorry for Eric. This is the worst set of, things that could happen in the lead up to this game. This huge game for us tomorrow at Wembley. But if he did get told after the Arsenal game, but they asked him to keep it quiet, you can also feel for Eric.
They're not even saying after the Arsenal game. They're saying told the week before.
The week before, sorry. Right. So if he did get to... What happened then? We got Crystal Palace, isn't it? But no, that was only a few days before Arsenal Crystal Palace, wasn't it? So the week before would have been... Who did we play before Crystal Palace? Burnley.
So Man United, so that was on... actually, no, this is a better way of doing it. The week before the Arsenal game. Well, I mean, you could... depends on how much you want to split hairs, I suppose, on this one, isn't it?
Let's just say a week, though.
Because you could... It was Sunday, the 12th of May. So it's either... Well, we drew with Burnley at home. Maybe that was the final straw of drawing to it, like we said, a championship side then followed up by a Crystal Palace 4-0 drubbing away from home. If Jan-Aga Flutov's information is correct, the timing could be any time between those two games, couldn't it? Of no, Eric, it's done. Kind of.
You see what I mean, Owen? So really, this thing where, again, I'm not saying it's definite, but this already, when people were sort of an hour ago during the stream or 45 minutes ago during this stream and online saying this is disgusting, how can they treat Eric like this? It may not have gone that way, guys. It may, like, they may have told him with not plenty of time, but, you know, enough is enough after Burnley, let's hypothetically say. And he knew. It's only the biggest gamble where they might have been a bit silly is to basically think that nobody would find this out. That's the
now and the FA
problem
Cup final.
Between now and the FA Cup, which they've gambled, and that has categorically, they have got
failed.
Custard on their face, pie in their face, whatever you want to call it. They've been pied because that hasn't worked. And to think that from Burnley to now that weren't going to come out, that's a big ask. That's a big ask for something that big, and that's where now they're now dealing with this. So, but maybe it might not be as big as a surprise to Eric as we once thought it was at the beginning of this stream.
Yeah, perhaps. And and also, as we mentioned, it's interesting the Muppeteer saying about Ineos, because again, if you logically look at it, it does not behoove Ineos for that information to get out at all, because it makes them look like, as you just mentioned, idiots. It makes them look incompetent. So I'm sure, as I said earlier on, they're looking around trying to find out why. If that information from Jan-Aga Flurtov is accurate, then that completely changes the timeline of things, isn't it? Of going that one. Well, again, it adds, you know what it does also? It adds more credibility to the idea that Omar Barada was present and sitting down with the representatives of Kieran McKenna, because the reporting had always been previously, well, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's going to listen to Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox et al. On what the decision is about Erik ten Hag. If they're saying, if Jan-Aga Flurtov's information is accurate, that Erik ten Hag was told the week before the Arsenal game that he wasn't going to be the manager next season, that would suggest that decision would have been made again prior to that. So that decision would come from a Jason Wilcox or an Omar Barada, or probably a combination of both. So Omar Barada's working at the moment.
Ring KG back and tell him this new piece of information, because he was quite strong on, like, they shouldn't have handled it this way. They should have told him before. Yeah. See what he thinks.
He's probably watching.
Actually, yeah, he's probably watching.
Hello?
KG the comedian. Have you been watching the stream?
I'm watching. I went backwards, so I'm in the first 10 minutes.
Right. So you said about the thing about why didn't they let Erik ten Hag know before? Blah 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 blah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jan-Aga Flurtov, of course, a journalist based in Germany, has said a couple of things. He said, to think that one game at Wembley is decisive for Ten Hag's future is a lack of respect and knowledge for how Ineos works. Stay or go, it was decided weeks ago. He then says, it was always a gamble to think that this could be a secret until after the FA Cup final. Jan-Aga Flurtov's information is, he says, I understand that he was told the week before the Arsenal game. He, of course, being Erik ten Hag. So he's suggesting that Erik ten Hag, the timeline of events was he was told the week before the Arsenal game, which would be around the time of drawing 1-1 against Burnley at home and losing 4-0 against Crystal Palace. He's saying that ten Hag was told then that he wasn't going to be the manager next season.
Wow. Said something. They should have just put it out and said that he won't longer be. They should have just put out a statement. I know they wanted to do the secret thing.
Eric sort of
it just makes us look a bit incompetent.
Good talks, you know.
You know what? Like,
end of
the day, Ten Hag's it's a results business, isn't it? And this is where it is. It's a shame that it's ending like this. But now I just pray. So does Jan-Aga know who we're gonna go for next?
Oh, he doesn't say that, but it's certainly interesting that he would say that. And again, it must be stressed that there aren't other people saying that kind of stuff. But and also when he says it to it, he says, well done to Jacob Steinberg to get it confirmed. So he's almost basically co-signing it, going, I heard something similar, basically. I heard the same thing.
Well, I feel for Demarcio right now, because he must be like, it's my joke. I said that. Demarcio was like literally... Yeah. Like on a radio station saying the exact same thing, and we was like, nah.
Yeah.
He's a has-been.
Yeah.
I can't believe this, man.
What does he make of Eric if he did know before?
I don't know what to say.
He was in the press saying...
What do you make, KG? Flex says, what do you make of Eric then going into these press conferences saying, same answer. Does that kind of confirm what we have said before about those press conferences going, you've got to take everything with a pinch of salt. Like you've got to.
You have to. He's clever.
He's focusing on the final two. He just wanted to. He wants to win the cup, so he just wanted to disrupt everything.
Yeah, he doesn't want to go like that. He doesn't want to go on a. He's got class in it. He wants to go on a high. If he can win the FA Cup, that's what I think he's been reminding us. You lot ain't been getting there for years. So you remember every time he keeps saying, "Well, last 10 years, you lot haven't really got there." So hey, watch out for the woman's gonna get knocked over. So you have to be like. It's hard because he wants to let people know that I'm still a good manager. So in a sense, he's still on the shopping thing, and he must be relaxed because there's many jobs that he can take. You know, I don't know if Bayern would have thought differently.
Well, that's interesting. Actually, you mentioned the Bayern thing then, because if he was told the week before the Arsenal game, and again, that's around 27th of April to sort of the 6th of May. That is during the time in which he was being linked to the Bayern job anyway, allegedly. So that part about, he turned down to talk to Bayern. Why would he turn down the opportunity to talk to Bayern if he was told he was going to be the manager next season?
This is what I'm saying is, bro, when I tell you this thing is it's mad. I think that the end of now I just kind of want to like sim the FA Cup final because it's like I'm thinking about what's next for our club. Like I really want to win this trophy, but it feels like we're getting to the land of the unknown. And then remember I was talking before and I goes, don't it feel like we're just in that kind of middle ground? And it just doesn't feel nice. Like we feel like we're stuck in the void.
Purgatory, my friend.
Yeah,
you don't know whether we're going to heaven or how.
This is it. And it's like, while winning the cup is really great, but what does this mean now for the squad? What does this mean now for pre-season? What does this mean now for so many different players? Like,
but then the answers to that could be really quick if they change the manager and have made a decision.
What is happening right now?
But the answer to that could be really quick if they've already made their mind up. If they've already, basically, I guess the theory is, well, if they already made their mind up on the manager several weeks ago, then they might have already made their mind up on several players several weeks ago as well.
Well, listen, all I know is Omar Barada's working on gardening leave, so I put in nothing behind. I'm putting nothing, like, he can do anything. Yeah. That guy's been having meetings. That guy has been active.
He's not been in his garden. His garden's overgrown. It's untouched.
Omar, and if you think Dan Ashworth is not working as well, Dan absolutely working. Dan is working for the club. Oh, I shouldn't really say this. Omar's working for the club. Yeah.
He's already working for the club. Ashworth's already got an Ineos email account already going, I'm working.
Oh my goodness. This, wait, I don't know how to feel. I honestly don't know. How's Flex?
That's what we said earlier.
How are you all feeling right now?
I feel uncomfortable.
That's exactly what Flex said. He said that, he said, I don't know how to feel about it because, again, we're talking about this. Ten Hag's he's at Carrington now. He's still in a job.
He's in London now.
That's the point. He's going to be traveling to, he's going to be there in Wembley on the touchline tomorrow. He still is the Manchester United manager. But we're in this sort of like lame duck situation now of like, well, does everyone know, including him, what's going on, but they can't say it? They're not going to say it. Like,
I think they do. I'm starting to think they do.
When you look at that wave, and read everything differently. When he was, took his time, thanking the fans, saying bye to the fans.
Yeah,
when so many.
When we watched that last game at Old Trafford, Ten Hag came out, walked out the tunnel, and he waved to the fans, and KG immediately went, "He's leaving."
When it was just a normal
and then he goes, "You remember that?" And he goes, "You've done this before."
Yeah, I said that. I said, and I went, "You said the same thing about Ronaldo," and then KG looked at me and went, "Was it wrong?"
Yeah, he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong. He's got a good strike rate.
Oh man, I don't know what to. I wish I could just teleport home, bro, because we need to do the Trinity again.
Yeah,
the Trinity must be redone. I can't believe that.
That show is getting more rotten, like milk in the shining sun, minute by minute.
That show stinks. It's been out in the sun, and it was the hottest day in the UK ever, and that's where it was. Yeah. That's what them takes are. Yeah, I can't believe it. This club, is a shambles. I hope it makes the right. They better announce the right thing. I do not want to see McKenna save anything. Please, club, don't do this.
Well, just a little tease. Just a little tease for when that new episode of the Trinity comes out. Just who would you rather have than Kieran McKenna at Old Trafford?
I'd rather Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and I don't want none of them.
Thank you very much.
I'd rather bring back Ollie.
Yep.
This is some bullshit. This is some absolute. I'm so upset. I'm angry. I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
announce a good manager. Don't announce no bullshit.
Wow. We will pick it up later, KG. We'll pick it up later.
All
right, speak to you in a bit.
See you later, guys.
I'm with Minna. I think if he goes, it'll be McKenna. You know.
I
think it's too big for him. I don't think it should be.
Those talks coming out last night were incredibly significant. And I think that for what's happened today to come out, last night had to come out first. And I think that's a catalyst for this information now coming out. And I think that, it would. I mean, it's interesting as well, because when they said, the talks happened with McKenna last week, it then makes you think, doesn't it, going, so when Chelsea got rid of Poch and maybe they went to McKenna's representatives, would you be interested? It might be a bit like, mate, I'm already going somewhere else. It might be something like that. Like, we're talking about all this stuff about reacting. This might have been predetermined a while ago. If that information's right about Ten Hag being told a couple of weeks ago at this point, then who's to say it would line up? Because again, if he was told the week before the Arsenal game, just thinking about this, that would have been, again, around sort of beginning of the month. So it's the 24th today. So around the sort of beginning of the month, that's like, 3 weeks ago? Something like that. And then they're saying that talks happened with McKenna last week. So there's kind of like a 2-week gap where maybe they were assessing actual options that they were going to do, or setting up meetings, or maybe waiting for the championship season to end to see what happened with, because, I don't want to talk to anyone until the season ends, that kind of thing.
There's so much, man. There is so much stuff is going on. Let's see what you guys are saying. Where did we get to? Matt, did we get to? Yeah, because she loves United. So Matt says, knowing before the Arsenal game makes sense. Ten Hag ditched his style of play. We have seen all season for that game onwards. Clearly knew it was pointless. I didn't even think. I thought of that just preparation for the cup, but again, we're forced to just try and put 2 and 2 together and see what we come out with. And it isn't always 4 with this. But he did change everything from then, didn't he? Since then, he played in a different way. It's true. Ritesh says it's really sad. Wonder what Ten Hag is feeling. James says maybe Eric Ten Hag quit eyes emoji. Maybe he did. But there you go, guys. What a show. Over 2,500 of you still here. Over 1,200 likes. Incredible news or rumors and stories that are coming out this afternoon. We'll be right across it in the lead up to what is tomorrow, the massive game, the
FA Cup final.
It's just crazy. We've got to redo the Trinity.
Maybe it's live.
Maybe it's live. Probably, mental. mental. So, yeah, guys, stay tuned. Watch this space. Zavi says we need some Ineos out banners already. Let us know how you're feeling in the comments, guys. It's a lot of news to take in. Super, super big opinion here. And we have to see how this thing plays out. But what I would say is not just the cliche of because the game is tomorrow, even away from the game, which everything has been, you can clearly see this is coming to a conclusion of some sort. Something has to buckle here. Something must give. So, guys, thanks for watching. We'll keep you posted across all of it. There'll be a Trinity show later on today. Look out for it. Might be live, might be pre-recorded. Who knows? Who knows?
Figure it out.
What will it even be about? Might not even be about this. There might be something else.
Exactly.
So, yes, take care, guys. We'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.